This is in continuation with the chapter which we did before the exam. This is day 64, chapter number 23, that's mean, median and mode. We are done finding mean, median and mode for raw data or ungrouped data, and we found all three quantities, mean, median and mode. And the next type of data was group data with no class intervals. For that also we found how to find, we know how to find mean, median and mode. And then for group data with class interval, I showed you three methods of finding mean. The first method was direct method, second method is shortcut method, and the third one is step deviation method. Okay. Now we are going to see for group data how to find mode. Okay. So this is finding mode using a histogram. The data is given. For this data you have to draw a histogram, a graph. Okay. I'll tell you what it is. So this is from exercise 23C, question number 11. The question is, the daily wages of 60 workers in a small scale industry are given below. The daily wages are given in rupees. Daily wages are between 30 to 35, 35 to 40, 40 to 45, 45 to 50, 50 to 55 and 55 to 60. And the number of workers who earn this, that is between 30 and 35, there are 4 workers who earn so much. Between 35 and 40, there are 7 workers. Between 40 and 45, there are 23 workers. Between 45 and 50, there are 18 workers. Between 50 and 55, there are 6 workers. And between 55 and 60, there are 2 workers. Again, the question continues. It says, draw a histogram for the above data and hence find the modal wage. Modal wage is finding mode for the distribution. Okay. Now, the first thing that you will see from the data is see whether the data given, the class interval given is continuous. Okay. That is, if you look at the first class interval, it is 30 to 35. It ends at 35, and look at the second class interval, it starts from the same 35. So there is continuity here. Okay. 35 finishes here, 35 starts here, is the same number which you can see. Okay. So this data is continuous. Okay. In some cases, it may not be continuous. In such cases, you will have to make the class intervals continuous. I'll give you a small example here. Say, if the data given was this 1 to 10, 10 to 20, sorry, 11 to 20, and so on. Okay. These are the class intervals given, okay. Not these. This is the example which I am giving you. The first class interval is 1 to 10, and the second class interval is 11 to 20. If you look at this, here it finishes with 10, and the next one doesn't start with 10, it starts with 11. So here there is no continuity. Okay. So you will have to make this continuous. So for that you have to find something called an adjustment factor. Okay. Now how to find this adjustment factor is, these are the upper limits, lower limits of the class intervals. These are the upper limits, like here. These are the lower limits of the class interval, these are the upper limits. Okay. And there is continuity, so you don't have to bother anything. But here, these are the lower limits of the class interval, these are the upper limits, and there is no continuity. So what you will do is, you will take 2 consecutive class intervals, that is this one, and look at the upper limit here, that is 10, and the lower limit of the next one, that is 11. See how much is the difference between them. That is 11 minus 10, that will give you 1, and divide that by 2. Okay. Whatever is the difference, divide that by 2. So that gives you 1 by 2, which is 0.5. Okay. So that becomes the adjustment factor. Now what you do with this adjustment factor is, with the lower limit, you will subtract that much adjustment factor, and with the upper limit, you will add that one. With the lower limit, you will subtract the adjustment factor, and with the upper limit, you will add the adjustment factor. So, what happens is, if you have to get this continuous, then from 1 subtract the adjustment factor. 1 minus 0.5 is 0.52. With this, you will add the adjustment factor. 10 plus 0.5, that's 10.5. Do the same thing with the next class interval. With the lower limit, subtract 0.5, that's 11 minus 0.5 will give you 10.5. To from 20, with 20, add the adjustment factor, that is 20 plus 0.5, that's 20.5. Now look at this class interval that you got. Okay. This is after you did the adjustment factor. Now see whether it has become continuous. The class interval is 0.5 to 10.5 is the first class interval. The second class interval is 10.5 to 20.5. Look at both these numbers. Are they same? If it is same, which means there is continuity. So this same class interval has become this. First change it like this, and then only you will draw the histogram. Because a histogram is like a bar graph. The only difference between a histogram and a bar graph is, in a bar graph, there are long bars that you will draw and there will be a gap in between. Okay. But in a histogram, again you are going to draw bars, but there are no gaps in between. So if there should be no gaps in between, then your class intervals must be continuous. Then only you can draw a histogram. Okay. So you don't have to worry much about this in this example which I have given, because the class intervals are continuous. This is 35, 35, 40, 40, it is continuous. Okay. So this is the data given. Now for this data, there is no calculation, nothing. You don't have to draw any more columns and find certain things. Okay. Straight away you start drawing the histogram. I have drawn the histogram on the whiteboard. Okay. So we will go to the whiteboard. I will show you what exactly it is. Now to draw what is there on the whiteboard, the graph. These values, that is starting from 30 up to 60. 30 up to 60 have to be plotted on the x-axis. X-axis is the horizontal line. Okay. X-axis, and these values, if you see these values, the least value is 2 and the highest value is 23. Okay. So you will have to divide your y-axis accordingly. That is the vertical line that you get. All these data goes on the x-axis, the horizontal line, and all these go on the y-axis, that is the vertical line. Okay. So you will have to plot from 2 up to 23. Okay. So let's go to the graph on the other side. Okay. Now to the graph here. If you look at the graph, I have already drawn the graph. This line here is your x-axis. If you notice this, there is an x here. Okay. Showing that is the x-axis. And this line here is the y-axis. Okay. Now, as I told you, whatever is the class interval, that is starting from 30 to 35, 35 to 40 and so on, all those have to be plotted on the x-axis, this one. Okay. So what I have done is, see, each of this is 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, together is 2 centimeter. Every 2 centimeter I have divided as 5 units. Okay. Because the difference in the class interval is 5. So first is 30, after 2 centimeter 35 I mark, after 2 centimeter 40, 45, 50, 55, the last value was 60. Okay. These are plotted first. And these values are the daily wages in rupees. That is on the x-axis. That's what has to be written. Below the x-axis, you write down what it is. That is daily wages in rupees. Okay. And if you notice, the y-axis, this is the y-axis. I mark this y. Okay. On the y-axis, as I told you, the least value of the number of workers is 2 and the highest value is 23. So what I have done here is, every 1 centimeter, this is 1 centimeter, every 1 centimeter I have divided as 2, 4, 6, the difference is 2, 2 I have taken. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, I need 23, I have also marked 24, this value is 24. Okay. And these are actually number of workers that I have written beside the y-axis, okay, showing with the arrow that these values are number of workers. Now there is also one more thing, that is the meeting point of the x-axis and the y-axis has to be marked. Okay. So what you will do is, that has to be written as a coordinate. Okay. Now, if you see, every 2 centimeter, the difference is 35 minus 30 is 5. Okay. Here also 40 minus 35 is 5. Which means if this is 30, this must be 5 units before it. So subtract 5 from here, that's 25. On the x-axis, that's 25. And on the y-axis, if you notice, every division that I have made, the difference is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. 6 minus 4 is 2. So if this is 2, this must be 2 units less. So 2 minus 2, that will give you 0. So this point is actually 25 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. Okay. So this also has to be marked. And immediately after this, you also have to write a scale. How you divided the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay. So first I have written x-axis. The x-axis is divided in this fashion. That is, every 2 centimeter, this is 2 centimeter. Every 2 centimeter is divided with a difference of 35 minus 30, that's 5. Is that right? Okay. So x-axis, every 2 centimeter equals rupees 5, because all these are daily wages in rupees. That's why I have written rupees 5. Okay. And how we divided the y-axis is, if you look at it, this is 1 centimeter. Every 1 centimeter, the difference between these two is 2. 4 minus 2 gives you 2. Okay. So y-axis is divided as every 1 centimeter. Every 1 centimeter is 2 workers, because this side are workers. Okay. So everything is 2 workers. Okay. So this scale has to be written. How you divided the x-axis and the y-axis. Now to plot them. If you remember the table, the first class interval was 30 to 35 and the frequency or the number of workers for that was 4. Okay. So you have to draw a bar from 30 to 35, a bar of height 4. Because for 30 to 35, first class interval, the number of workers were 4. Okay. So 30 to 35 is 4, that's 4. If you can see the data once again. Okay. So coming back to the green board. So look at this one now. That's from 30 to 35. The number of workers are 4. So you have to draw a bar of height 4. Next, 35 to 40. The bar of height 7 has to be drawn. Okay. 40 to 45. The bar has to be of height 23. Next one, it should be of height 18. Next one should be of height 6. And the last one should be of height 2. So going back to the graph. Okay. So the first one is 30 to 35. As I said, the height is 4. So I have drawn a bar of height 4. Okay. Next one, for 35 to 40, the height was 7. So 7 is not here, it is between 6 and 8. Halfway through 6 and 8, I have drawn the bar. That's for 7. The height is 7. Okay. The third one, for 40 to 45, the bar height was 23. 23 is between 22 and 24. So halfway through, I've drawn this. This is the bar of height 23. Okay. Next one is of height 18. That's between 45 to 50. The bar height is 18. The next one, 50 to 55. The bar height was 6. So of height 6, I've drawn the next bar. And the last one was of height 2. Okay. So 55 to 60, the height is 2. If you see 2 is here, so that is the height. Okay. So you got all these bars. If you notice, all these bars are stuck to each other. This sort of a graph is called a histogram. Okay. So we've drawn the histogram. Now using this histogram, you have to find the mode. Okay. For that, you look at the highest bar. The highest bar is this one. That's the highest bar. Okay. All that you have to do now is you have to join the lower limit of the highest bar. See this. For every bar, there is a lower limit and an upper limit. This is the lower limit, this is the upper limit. For the second one, this is the lower limit, this is the upper limit. For the third one, this is the lower limit, this is the upper limit. And for the next one, lower limit, upper limit. Lower limit, upper limit, and for the last one, lower limit and upper limit. So, to find the mode, you choose the highest bar, that's the highest bar. and you're going to draw a few lines here. Okay. That is, you have to join the lower limit of the highest bar with the lower limit of the next bar. Okay. This is the lower limit of the highest bar. This is the lower limit of the next bar. Join these 2 points by a straight line. So that's the lower limit of the highest bar. That's the lower limit of the next bar. I join that one by a straight line. That's done. Now next is you will have to join the upper limit of the highest bar with the upper limit of the previous bar. This is the upper limit of the highest bar, and the previous bar is this one. The upper limit of that is this. Okay. So I'm going to join the upper limit of the highest bar with the upper limit of the previous bar. So these 2 points have to be joined by a straight line. Okay. So let's join these two. So upper limit of the highest bar with the upper limit of the previous bar. Okay. So if you notice this, you've drawn 2 lines, and these 2 lines will meet inside the highest bar. Okay. So they met here. Now from this point, you have to drop a perpendicular line to the x-axis. A straight line, a vertical line from this point to the x-axis. Okay. So that's the third line that we have to draw. So from here, drop a perpendicular line to the x-axis. Whatever reading you get here, that will be your mode. Okay. So we are going to see how much is the mode. Okay. So this is 40, this is 45. Okay. And we have to find out how much this is. Okay. So approximately I'll tell you this is 43.5. Okay. Now how to find that I'll tell you on the board. So this is 43.5. I'm going to write the value. Now, how exactly I got this, I'll explain that one on the other board. Okay. So, between 40 and 45 you got this value. This value that you get is your mode. So, to write down your answer, there is no need to write any answer on the graph. Everything has to be written wherever you've done the calculation. Okay. So, you go back to the board. So, value of mode. Okay. If you notice, the value that you got was on the x-axis, and if it is on the x-axis, everything is these values, okay, which are actually daily wages in rupees. So 43.5 was what I got, and that value should be in rupees. So rupees 43.5 is the value of the mode for this calculation. Okay. Now I'll also show you how to find that exact value 43.5. Okay, on the graph. Say, this is your graph. This is your x-axis. Okay, and then this was 40 and this is 45. And as I said, these are 2 centimeters each. Okay. So this is 1 centimeter, this is 1 centimeter. Every 1 centimeter is divided into either 5 small units or they are divided into 10 small units. Usually the graph that you use, it's divided into 5 small units. Okay. So I'll divide this 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the 5th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the 5th one. Okay. Now, say I got a value somewhere here. The straight line which I drew, last straight line, came and landed here. That's the value. Okay. Now I have to find exactly how much that is. For that, let's see the known values that I marked. That's a 40 and a 45. Is that right? How much is the difference between them? 45 minus 40, that will give you 5. Okay. And you count and see how many lines are there between this and this. So don't count the first one. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 small units, okay, in between 40 and 45. So the actual difference between 45 and 40 was 5, and the small divisions that we counted was 10. So divide by 10. So 5 divided by 10 is 0.5, which means each of the small divisions that you saw will add up to 0.5. So if this is 40, the next one is 40.5. Next one is add 0.5 more with 40.5, that will give you 41. This is 41.5. This is 42. This is 42.5. This is 43. This is 43.5. This is 44. This is 44.5. And the last one is 45. So every time you will add this 0.5. Is that clear? Okay. So once again, first get the difference between these two. 45 and 40 is 5. And then you count how many small divisions are there. There are 10 small divisions. So 5 divided by 10 gives you 0.5. Okay. So this is 40. Next you will add 0.5 to it. That's 40.5. Add 0.5 to this. That will give you 41. This is 41.5. This is 42. 42.5. This is 43. And this is 43.5. That's where your line came and met the x-axis. So that's 43.5. That's the value which I wrote on the graph. Okay. So that's how you find the mode. And your homework for today is, I'm writing it here, exercise 23C. This is homework. Question numbers 17, 28, 31A, 32 and 40.